chairs.
Hallowed all the chairs.
Hallowed all the chairs.
In unison, guys. Come on, we practiced this.
No,
Guess what? You're
really
a lizard,
didn't.
Harry! And we're reviewing Centigrade Purple Premonition Remastered. This is Ass-pyre's secret project that they've been working on for the past couple months and teasing us with. It's a PlayStation 2/Xbox game that has since been ported to the Linuxes. It'll run you $8.99 or $8.99 space euros or $9.99 with stinky space bucks. What is it? Originally released in 2005, Fahrenheit, now known as Indigo Prophecy, was a breakthrough in an interactive narrative. The newly remastered edition features updated textures in HD, full controller support for a console game that required controllers, and is based on the uncut and uncensored international version of the game. And yet, when you take a shower within the first 20 minutes, you see no dick. So, with our fancy new chair acquisition robes, we might as well wheel out the chair acquisition. 1 chair means that it's shit, 2 chairs means that it's meh, 3 chairs means that it's pretty good, and 4 chairs means that's amazing. And, of course, we have our categories: Oh Doom, Makes with Working, Shiny Sounds, Controls, and Fun. And for I will sing this little bit and stop. So, let's kick this off, because these robes are kind of hot. Not just in the temperate way. So, Ben, did it make with the working?
Brother Svang, it made with very much working. No, seriously, it did. We tested this on the octo-core Ubuntu 1404 LTS box of business with a 980 on a 4K display. And I'm getting a solid 80 to 100 FERPs at 3480 by 2160. Good on them, with occasional frame dip for fuck all reason, but that's normally when it's transitioning, maybe loading some of that business. So I'm going to give it 4 chairs.
I missed this at first, but I joked in the show notes I was looking forward to the Advanced Video Options DLC. Apparently you need to set it to custom if you want to fuck around with anything more. Ugh, man. Stay down, stomach. Anything more than the resolution. As Ben mentioned, even on 980 at 4K, on the 670 superclocked at 1080p, it's locked at about 100 frames a second, which through Pedro's amazing detective work, which I could not have reasoned without.
I was just confirming that.
Yeah,
Stop being an asshole.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself that, sweet cheeks. Yeah. So, the game somewhat works. My main gripe is, and I'll get into this more in Shiny and Sounds, the little Ass-pyre logo and all like the brought you by shit sounds perfectly fine. And then when the game starts, you get buffer underruns out of fucking nowhere. So I'm going to give that 3 chairs.
Well, and really complain on my end, much like Ben and Jordan already mentioned, it's kept at 100 frames, won't go above that. It gets a little dip here and there, transitioning from actual gameplay to the cutscenes. You can't really tell the difference, but hey, it works.
They're all game engine cutscenes, and then the stuff is really pre-rendered.
Yeah, they're all rendered. So for me, on the Amiga with the FX 8370E and the GTX 970 Strix, it ran without an issue. 4 chairs. Oh, Fedora 2164-bit.
Well, as long as it doesn't use more than 3.5 gigs of RAM.
And as for me, on the octo-core Ubuntu 1404 LTS, running the 6670 HD, it ran okay for the opening videos, but then when it came to the menu was utterly fucked. Now, I went to the ini file just to see if I could tweak the full screen, put it into window mode. It went into windowed mode, and then still the same thing. So then I right-click, go into the properties, take out the Steam overlay, and bam, it works. So because of that horsing around, I'm giving it 3 chairs.
All right, so that's 3 chairs for Makes with the Working. Up next, Shiny and Sounds. Ben, was your mind blown by the 10-year-old graphics of awesomeness?
Fortunately, it was, but the fancy robe hood thingy held it in. This game was built for the PS2 and the Xbox, and man, it shows. Nice textures wrapped around those archaic models. Even for its time, those models were not the bee's knees, you might say. It's a bit jarring, and some of the animation rigging is fuck all laughable. My two favorite ones, as far, and I've progressed about an hour and a half into this business. But when he's waking up and he's having the flashback with a knife, and he's cutting himself, and the knife is just flailing around, not touching his arm.
Yeah.
I lost my shit there. And shortly after, another shit-losing event. It's like, I'll have some milk from the ice box. It just
Some
flips
milk.
directly upside down. He's having that. So, the sounds are fine. Voice acting completely passable for its time. And I absolutely get, it's an interactive movie. Sadly, whoever directed the scene cuts with this is like, whoosh, all this. Never visited film school, I have to say. So, 2 chairs. So say the chair.
Yeah, see, this game is very dialogue heavy, and there are so many pulse underruns. It's ridiculous. It's like listening to some dubstep remix of people talking. And now okay, so there are a bunch of steps I can take to mitigate this, but I kind of want to approach the game from I'm just installing it without any further modifications to the operating system. So if you're going to have buffer underruns for pulse audio, I'm gonna have to deal with it, and that basically kills much of the dialogue in the game. But like Ven said, remaster or no, this is very clearly a PlayStation 2 game. The voice acting is decent at times, but you know, the dialogue isn't that great, and they're doing their best with the crap material, but yeah. So all in all, I gotta give this 2 chairs. It's kind of visually meh, and auditorily, it's all right.
So, you guys already mentioned this, but all the characters move like they all come from Morrowind. If you played Morrowind back in 2002, you may remember how they walked, that really stilted power walk that they did. It feels very much out of place because everything is super high res, and it's jarring to see like really old models and really old animations. Yeah. And then Vin and Jordan said that the voice acting was competent. I don't think so. The policeman and the waitress that you have to interview at the beginning, it was cringeworthy. It caused me physical pain to listen to that. And like Jordan said, the dialogue is not very well written. I can't give it 1 chair because 1 chair means that the game would be busted or that sounds were completely porked, but they're not, so 2 chairs.
I have to say, because the chairs, they come from the Book of Folding, they say the graphics were subpar. Yes, the game is 10 years old. You could probably do a little more than just reskinning old models. Maybe fix up the animations. I'd probably just throwing that out there.
Sandy, you just froze. There we go. Keep going.
And
Just throw.
The
was
chairs
the
are
chairs.
rejecting his opinion.
yes,
Shun him. Shun the
Shun
nonbeliever.
him. And like the soundtrack was okay. Like it was definitely trying to be a movie for sure. Like especially like with the dead guy like appearing in the mirror, and he's like,
We'll get to that in the fun.
Yeah. And then one thing I didn't understand was the Theory of a Dead Man soundtrack. When you play the CD player, all of a sudden you have like a shit ton of their one album. Like out of the 4 CDs that was in there, it was only Theory of a Dead Man.
Did you mean Theory of a Nickel Jam?
Yeah, Theory of a Nickel Jam. But like, honestly, I'd never played the game before, so like I couldn't get too critical with it. I'm sure it was good for at the time, but I wasn't too impressed by what happened. But I'm happy it's on Linux. So it's a new game that's on Linux, so I'm going to give it 2 chairs.
All right, so that's 2 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. What about controls? Ben, make me fries.
One bizarre hymn after another. Everything actually worked using the infamous X-Clone controller of cloniness. But the controls themselves, they're a bit hit or miss. Sometimes I can walk right up to a door organ, boom, do the side thing, and it opens. The other time, getting shit accomplished, flail. And eventually it might happen. That fuck all busted camera of randomness. Really? Seriously. You have your left and right trigger organs here, and you're instructed. During the tutorial, I was like, this will pan left and right. And I'm like, okay, I can work with this, because I want the console experience and sit back and not use the gerbil of the keyboard. But left and right might pan, or get this, hard cut, depending on the scene. Sometimes you can, oh yeah, I'm going to look around, which is very natural. It's like, yep, I want to be over here, do this. Other times you hit those buttons, it's like, boom, hard cut, boom, hard cut. Confusing as fuck all. Didn't appreciate that. But that's really the only pick of nit I have. 3 chairs. So say me.
Quick time events, the game. I keep confusing this game with Heavy Rain, and I think is it
Made
the same
by the
director
same
for this game?
guy. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
same guy.
David Cage.
Yeah.
It's all David Cage.
Yeah. Calm down, Tommy was so. The controls are fine until you try to navigate specific areas. Now I tried with both the Xbox controller of a Nya, and I pulled out my roommate's old PlayStation 3 controller because that's old now. Over Nya, because I don't know, some of the button positioning doesn't really make sense with the button travel with the Xbox controller. So I figured this game was really made for PlayStation 2. Maybe a PlayStation 2 style controller would help, and it kind of did. Going back to the controls are fine until you try to do like fine navigation into like corners or whatnot. It'll just like walk you into a wall or something. Trying to target specific cupboards and whatnot when you're trying to open them when you're in your apartment. I spent like a good 5 minutes opening the same cupboard again and again until I realized that no matter how far to the left you go, that is the only cupboard you can actually open. I thought I was just aiming incorrectly. The menus, like for some of the choices, are just like ridiculous, because it's like press up on the right analog stick to do X, press left to do X or to do Y. So I press up, but because it was slightly to the left, it picks the other option, and that got annoying when I'm just like essentially playing craps with my dialogue options. And some of the QuickTime events, like when you're having the vision of the cop coming, it's not the stencil that shows you where you need to move the analog stick is a little too transparent, so you can't really see what combinations you need to press, especially when they just sort of flash in front of you. So I'm gonna give this 2 chairs. It's passable, but it's not great.
Yeah, this was very much a PS2 game. I remember I played it with the demo with this very same controller. The binary choice pop-up dialogues, the ones that just require you to pick yes or no, this thing wouldn't register them. I tried every single button, would not fucking work. How
did you try the shield controller?
I tried the shield controller. I didn't actually run into any of the yes or no dialogues. But yeah, the game itself, after I plug it in and Steam recognizes it, oh yeah, you already plugged this in, it's set up like this, so yeah, it works with Aaron Plattner's fix. It's still not ideal because there are some things that still don't work on that controller, but yeah, it sort of kind of works. This one, on the other hand, I expected everything to work with it, and it doesn't.
What do you think this is, a PlayStation game?
How do you mess up a PS2 game so that it does not work with a PS2 controller?
That uses an adapter that's not officially supported in the Linux.
Well, it technically is, but
Through direct input.
hey, yeah. much like Jordan, I freaking hate QuickTime events. I hate them with a passion. 2 chairs.
All right. I had 0 issues with the old F710. I switched it between the direct input and the X input. 0 issues there. But like Jordan said, like just controlling a lot of the commands, doing like, say, the cupboard, going to the fridge, like it's very fickle, even though you're like already on the other end of the kitchen, you know, it's still asking for that one cupboard. Some of the commands don't make sense. Like the window made sense because it was like, if you want to open the window, do up. If you want to close it, do down. Like some of those commands made sense, but other ones just didn't make sense.
How about waking up in an apartment and it clearly says it's -10 and your window's open?
And your window's open.
Butt naked.
Yeah.
But
And
clearly you don't live in Canada, so
yeah, my wrists, they are on fire. But yeah, but other than that, like there's no real issues with the controller. It was obviously they wanted it to be well done for the controller, but yeah, so I'm just gonna give it 3 chairs.
all right, so that's 2 chairs for the controls. And finally, Potato Wave, it's fun. Ben, did you have fun?
Interactive movie is... What? Oh, right. It's an interactive movie. Seriously. This is Fuck the Colorblind QuickTime Simulator 2015. That pops up. I'm the transparent overlay. I'm definitely with J-Man on this business. It's like, what? I'm looking at it on a 28-inch 4K monitor. Trust me, it should be very visible. It's not, Brad. I don't hate the game. I really do not hate the game. I hate the whole mothering concept of interactive movies. This loathing in Genesis started with Night Trap, and it didn't get any better, and it never will. So,
Night Trap, damn.
boom,
That's
1 chair.
that's
Sega
an
CD.
old reference. It is kind of fun to make everyone as incompetent as possible.
Yeah.
I will say when I was trying to mop up the blood in the bathroom, the guy does a shitty job. I cleaned up bathrooms for like 2 years. That would not pass. Oh man, it's just amateur hour.
Your
What the
Jew
fuck?
sneaking out.
It's yeah, like Ben said, it's also fun to watch the game models sort of fail at performing basic tasks like drinking milk or opening doors or moonwalking. But so with a game like this, really the story has to grab you because you're kind of along for the ride. It's Dragon's Lair E in that you can sort of determine the path that you go. But ultimately, you need to be enthralled by the story to see where it's going. It didn't really grab me from the beginning. I have to dispose of a body in a bathroom. It's like, geez, is it fucking Tuesday already? So you go through the steps. I apparently missed the knife under the garbage can because I thought I saw the guy pocket it, but whatever. Yeah. This sort of format might work better with a story like Gun Machine by Warren Ellis, which I thought would like really fit this style of gameplay. But the story just doesn't do it, and I have no incentive to play it anymore. The characters are insufferable, and just the controls make it a nightmare to play. 1 chair. Again, this is not really Ass-pyre's fault. I don't think they did a competent job porting the game. I think the game is fundamentally unfun. Mind you, if you're a fan of the original Fahrenheit/Indigo Prophecy game, you may actually like this, but I did not.
And then again, if you've already played the original Indigo Prophecy everywhere in the world, or Fahrenheit in North America, you have
It was
zero
the
reason to
other
play
way
it
around,
again.
wasn't it? Because Fahrenheit's
No.
copyrighted in the U.S.
Review. Go with it.
One of those, yeah. One of those. So yeah, I absolutely refuse to endorse a quote-unquote game by someone like David Cage. He is very clearly a Hollywood reject director who sees video games as a way to push his movie scripts, which failed, without without going under the scrutiny of movie critics. Unfortunately for him, video game critics are much more of an asshole than, movie critics. I also hate the fact that the game keeps telling me how to feel. Oh, you're stressed now. Oh, you're slightly relieved. You don't need to fucking tell me how I'm supposed to feel. If you're a competent game dev...
I gotta cut in for a second. When you pee, your anxiety rises. That's the exact opposite of what happens in real life.
Yeah, but you don't need to tell me how I'm supposed to feel. If you're a competent dev, you can make your game make me feel the way you want me to. You don't have to tell me. One chair.
Lisa, you're tearing me apart. This is a terrible movie. This was a terrible game. Okay, like Ass-pyre, you guys did a phenomenal job porting it. It runs great. But terrible game to pick. Like, this is just not fun. The story is cheesy. The characters are terrible. The music was the only good thing, really, aside from, like the Nickelback soundtrack. But other than that, yeah, I'm giving this one chair.
Listen, Sandy, you can stick your stupid comments and put them in your pocket. But you get one chair for the fun and 2 chairs for the final score. So, if you are a fan of Indigo Prophecy, if you want to support Ass-pyre, if you just like suffering through really bad movies that aren't even laughably bad. I mean, at least Manos you can laugh at. Speaking of Manos, I mean, look at these fucking robes.
I know they're brilliant. But,
Master
I guess on our final wrap-up, what I'll say about this noise is, after a full solid on into this, because we're going to play this, we bought this. This wasn't a gift copy. And I'm sitting there going, where's the fucking popcorn? This is boring. Like, but you can switch between different... that sucks more fun out of it, because now I know everything that's going on from all angles. Especially since I inadvertently delinked myself in the first scene from them having any physical evidence on me. Like, one thing I did find out, I was looking for cheats. And there's a way to get an actual shotgun that works. But I don't want to suffer through going through that noise in order to get it. Just to be the hobo with a shotgun. P-Man.
Again, I've already mentioned most of what I could say. David Cage wants to be a movie director. He has failed in every single attempt he's tried to push a movie to Hollywood, so now he's pushing his agenda on video games. Do not support that guy. But that's just me.
Fuck him.
Yeah, so that wraps it up for Kelvin Mauve Premonition Precursor, whatever the fuck it's called. Indigo Prophecy.